Good day, students. Okay, this is the last video in the series on early algebra. In the previous video, we showed you, tried to get you to understand what factorizing actually means. So in this video, we're actually going to apply that to algebraic expressions. So here's the process for factorizing algebraic expressions using what's called the distributive law. We have usually two, but it could be three or four expressions containing a common factor. Okay, we start by looking at these two expressions and we find first the highest common factor. So here I've got a 2 and a y. Here I have the number 20. The highest common factor of 2 and 20 is 2. So that's what's going to get written. I think I'll go back to my gold. So that's what gets written outside the brackets. This is always the highest common factor. Now what I like to do is when I take out a factor of 2, I like to cross it out. I find students find it easier when they're first factorizing to physically remove the common factor from each term. And that leaves a 10. So I divided both of those by 2. And what's left inside the brackets is y plus 10. And there you have it. That's your first example of factorizing. Now, of course, we know how to expand, so the easy way to check this is to say, well, 2 times y is 2y plus 2 times 10 is 20. So we can check our factorizing quite easily. Okay, another fairly simple example. The highest common factor of 3 and 15 is 3. Let's see what's left inside the brackets. So 3 divided 3 is 1, so that just goes to y. And 15 divided 3 is 5. So in the brackets we have y take 5. And quick check, 3 times y is 3y. 3 times 5 is 15. And we have subtract, so we have subtract. So I'm pretty confident that one's correct. You can use this technique with 3 or more terms separated by addition or subtraction. So this time we have to say, what's the highest common factor of 4, 2, and 6? Well, the biggest number that's a factor of all three of those is 2. There's no other common factors, so I can write my brackets. Okay, take a factor of 4 out of that. 2 times 2 is 4. That one disappears. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So what's left in the brackets is 2y plus z plus 3. Quick check. 2 times 2y is 4y. 2 times z is 2z. 2 times 3 is 6. So that does check. Okay, this last question. Well, I could take out a common factor of 2, because 2 is a factor of both 8 and 16. But I could also take out a common factor of 4, because 4 times 2 is 8 and 4 times 4 is 16. But the highest common factor, again, if I use the technique I showed you back in the previous video, always start with the smallest number, 8 times 1. And it turns out that 8's also a factor of 16. So we always want to take out the highest common factor. And common mistake students make, by the way, with this is they don't think to test the actual number itself. So they'll say, oh, 4 is a factor of 8, 4 is a factor of 16, and write a 4 there. In fact, I'll show you what you do if you make that mistake. You can fix it up later on. Okay, take out the common factor of 8. That leaves a 2 there, and z minus 2 is what's left behind in the brackets. Okay, well, let's just say a student actually said, well, 2 is a common factor. So they took out a factor of 2, leaving behind 4z take 8. Well, that is factorized, but not factorized completely. So after you've done that first step, you should always check to see, are there any common factors still inside the expression? And in this case, you can say, oh, I can take out another factor of 2. So 2 times 2, I've now got a factor of 4. 2 times 2z gives me 4z, and 2 times 4 gives me 8. So you might get to that stage. But once again, if you look inside the brackets, I haven't factorized completely, so I have to take out another factor of 2, and I get to the final answer. So there's nothing wrong with doing it in steps like that. It just takes longer and probably more chance of making a mistake. So the best thing to do is try to get the highest common factor first, but just as a check, make sure you haven't left any common factors in the expression in the brackets. Okay, and to illustrate that again, let's factorize this one. In fact, I think I'll skip this one. I've just illustrated that in the previous page, but it turns out 16y plus 32 can be factorized 4 different ways. Take out a factor of 2, 4, 8, and 16. And the one that is fully factored or factorized completely is 16, and that leaves just a y. And 16 goes into 32 twice, so you get y plus 2. So make sure that when you're factorizing, even if you're not asked to, that you always do it completely. Okay, so these questions here are ones where it is possible to factorize, but not completely. So, oops. So you need to. I've got to fix this up now. Let me just stop the video for a sec. I don't know how to stop the video. Let me see if I can move this thing back. I might be in luck. That was a silly thing to do. And let me go back to the next page. I'll try not to do that again. I dragged my frame accidentally. Okay, all of these questions here, it's possible to factorize, but not completely. Which is what I was trying to do before. So I'll just underline it and not circle it. So we need to find the highest common factor. So 2 is a common factor, but 4 is the highest common factor. So that crosses out. That goes to a 3, and I'm left with y plus 3. 2 is a common factor, but a bigger number that's a factor of both 12 and 18 is 3, but the highest common factor is 6. Again, you can say 12 times 1, 12 is not a factor of 18. 6 times 2, yep, 6 is a factor of both. So that's the common factor. Take out a factor of 6, that's a 2, and that's a 3, and what's left behind is 2p subtract 3. Let's do a quick check. In fact, I better check this one. 4 times y is 4y. 4 times 3 is 12. That checks. 6 times 2p is 12p. 6 times 3 is 18, and I've got to subtract. That checks. Okay, this one here, we've got a negative coefficient on the first term. My suggestion would be just leave the negative inside the brackets. So just look at the 6 and the 15. Highest common factor of both of those is a 3. And negative 6 divided 3 is negative 2. You can write the negative if you want. And 15 divided 3 is 5. So what's left behind in the brackets is negative 2m plus 5. I'll just show you an alternative way to do that. You also could have said, well, I want to take the negative sign out the front as well. So we could have put a negative 3 there. Now that means all you've got left now is just positive 2m because you've taken the negative sign out. But this is the tricky one. If you're taking a factor of negative 3 out of 15, you actually leave a negative 5 in the brackets because negative 3 times negative 5 gives you positive 15. So if you're going to take a negative factor out, you've got to be very careful about getting the sign of that one correct. And of course, you could also write that as 2m subtract 5 if you wish. Now on this last question, we actually have a negative 4k there. And if I change that to an addition, we also have a negative 8 there. So when you have a negative there and a subtraction there, usually it makes the most sense to take out a negative factor. You don't have to do it, but it's commonly what's done. So I'm going to take out the factor of -4 from there. And -4 times 2 gives me -8, so that just becomes 2. And in brackets is k plus 2. And of course, we'd better check that. In fact, I better check this one first. 6 times -2m is -6m. Sorry, 3 times -2m is -6m. 3 times 5 is 15. -4 times k, -4k. -4 times 2 is plus -8, which is the same as subtract 8. So both of those check. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Now, it turns out you can also take out common factors that are variables. And it might be one variable, but it can be more than that. So looking at this expression, the only common factor is a, so a goes out front. So just cross it out. And that leaves 4b, and a divide a is 1. So that leaves 4b plus 1 inside the brackets. So in this case, we factored out the common factor of a, and you don't end up with nothing there. When you're dividing by a divide a is 1. So the term left there is a 1. Quick check. A times 4b is 4ab. A times 1 is a. So that, in fact, is correct. Okay, next equation. 8vx take away x. Well, the only common factor in there is the x, so I write that out the front. I can cross that out. That goes to a 1 because x divided x is 1. And in brackets, 8v take 1. Okay, the next one, this time I've got to take out first the number that's a common factor, which is 5. So that crosses out. That goes to a 2. I also have a common factor of m, so that goes out front. And that's my highest common factor. And I'm left with 2n plus 1. Okay, next question. Okay, 18 and 24. The highest common factor of 18 and 24 is 6. And that leaves a 3 there and a 4 there. G is also a common factor, so I write the G on the outside. And that leaves in brackets 3 times h is 3h minus 4. Let's do a quick check. I forgot to check this one again. 5m times 2n is 10mn. That checks. 5m times 1 is 5m. That checks. 6g times 3h is 18gh. That checks. Minus 6g times 4 minus 24g. That checks. So both of those are correct. X times 8v is 8vx. And minus x times 1 is x, so that checks. Okay, the last one, then I'll stop the video, and then I think we'll do one more video. Got 2 more pages to go. We'll put that onto a separate video. Okay, once again, because I've got a subtraction there, a negative both there and there, let's take out the negative number. Add 9 and 15, the highest common factor is 3. So that leaves me with just a 3. And that leaves me with just a 5. I've got an a there, but not there. So the common factor is b. So I can take out the common factor of b. That leaves 3a in the first term plus 5c in the second term. Quick check, negative 3b times 3a. Negative 3 times 3 is 9, ab. Yep, negative 9ab is correct. Negative 3b times 5c is negative 15bc. And, excuse me, negative 15bc. Okay, we'll stop there. They're already up to about 15 minutes, and we will finish off factoring in the next video.